Hello, welcome to my channel, and if you're not new here then welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Viseart Warm Edits eyeshadow palette. I've used this eyeshadow palette every single day for a week, and I've decided to do this series because I've got quite a few eyeshadow palettes and they're not all, you know, the newest and the latest and greatest, but I own quite a lot and I really want to make my channel a place where you can get some detailed information about makeup. This is my first ever video though, so excuse the swatches. I know they're not the best out there, but I hope that this video is helpful for you. And if you're someone like me who's thinking about, you're thinking about buying this palette but you're not totally sure, then this video is for you. Keep watching. Alrighty, so let's get started. This eyeshadow palette, first of all, can we address the size? It literally fits in the palm of my hand. It is tiny. I got it in my Beauty Bay order. I was a little bit shocked, to say the least, but I did know it was small. I mean, you can tell from the pictures and you can see on their Instagram account it is one of their smaller palettes. Now, Viseart is a very well-respected brand in the makeup industry. The makeup palettes that they come out with are very high quality. They're known for their quality, and because of that they are also known to be quite expensive. And I have not actually tried a single eyeshadow or eyeshadow palette from them. This is the first time trying out the brand, and I was really excited to see if it would live up to the hype and to see if it would be worth the price. So this is their Warm Edits palette. They currently have only two in this size. They have this one and they have one that's got more of a purpley tone, purpley pull to it, and they both are being sold at the moment for about £30 on Cult Beauty. For some reason they cost a little bit more on Beauty Bay. That's how I got my palette. I got it for 20% off, just to let you know, when Beauty Bay had a similar deal. You get 12 eyeshadows in here, and I believe that there's 12 grams worth of product. So that means that each of these eyeshadows is 1 gram. It's literally like each one is like the size of a fingernail. I'm not joking when I say it's a very, very small palette. It's smaller than your ABH palettes. The pans are very small and they're actually removable as well. So if you're somebody who likes to create your own custom palettes, or you have a single shadow collection and you're traveling, they make it a little bit easier to pop the pans out if you really like a particular shade and take it with you. I really like the packaging. It's cardboard, you've got a really decent sized mirror here, perfect for travelling, and the clasp is magnetic and it's really secure. I have travelled with this, I've had it in my bag and it's not ever come undone or opened up. And even though these are magnetic, sometimes I found that the pan will pop out, but on the whole it does tend to stay in place. So the packaging for me gets a thumbs up. And the price, so 12 eyeshadows for £30, that means that each shadow is worth about £2.50, which obviously is definitely on the high end side when you can buy eyeshadow palettes for like £10, £15 from the drugstore, but this is a high-end brand, so you have to expect to pay high-end prices. And I was looking at their other eyeshadow palettes, so they've got an even smaller one than this. This is 12 pan. They have a Petite Pro line where they sell, like, it's a little bit smaller, they sell 8 shadows, but I've worked out that those shadows are £3.50 per shadow, even though they're the exact same size as these. So if you're looking for value for money, I'd say that the smaller Warm Edit and the other one are definitely the best value. Then their regular palettes, they have double the size pans. So the regular palettes have 24 grams in total, which means that each pan is worth 2 grams, and the price of the regular palettes are around £69 for a single eyeshadow palette, which means that each shadow equates to £5.75. It's a lot. It's basically like going to Makeup Geek or going to buy your own, make your own single shadows collection, which I do have, but as a result of many deals and buying them separately over many months, and that's kind of how I could justify it. So for me, like, spending £69 on one eyeshadow palette, I can't justify based on the amount of makeup I have and own already. So that's why when these came out and I saw these, and they are only like a couple of months old now, I just thought they'd be the perfect way to try out the brand, not splash too much money, but just to really see what I thought. I love the size of it, I love the packaging. I'm going to go for each shade individually, and I have swatched them as well individually. But I have to say overall I'd probably give this palette like an 8 out of 10. I really do like it. I've used it every single day, as you know, and in my last video I actually created 5 different eyeshadow looks, including this one. One of them was without any lashes, and then the others were with lashes, because let's be honest, lashes make the biggest difference. I focused on these shades here, these 3 shades, and this one here, and you can see I've created a really beautiful soft glam look. I've also created a very rich, warm, smoky eye kind of look, and then I use this pop of yellow as well for one of my looks. So for me, I love warm toned shadows. They are just my cup of tea, so this palette is perfect in that sense. I am definitely someone who goes more for the warm tones because I've got the olive skin, I've got brown eyes, it just suits my eyes, and there's not a single shadow in here that I thought, oh, I really would not use that, or I just won't get use out of that. So in terms of, for me personally, like using this, it's a good palette. I know I can chuck it in my bag, my travel makeup bag, and I know that I've got a palette that can take me from daytime to nighttime to, you know, anything in between. Does it have every single shade that I wish it did have? No, but for the most part I think it is pretty awesome. I wish that there was a slightly more pink tone shade, because you've got a lot of your reds and oranges here, as you can see, and then you've got your golds here and then the pink here. This pink I found, although you can make it work with your other shades, I did find that it just needs something else to accompany it for me. I mean, look, I'm in no way, shape or form a professional. I would say, like, in terms of applying eyeshadow, I'm probably like a 6 out of 10. I've got so much to learn, but I have been putting makeup on myself for many years. I've tried lots of different palettes. I've got a decent knowledge of it, you know. Like, personally, I'd want a couple more maybe pink matte shades and less of this sort of orange shades. Anyway, let's get into each of the shades. So I'm going to try and say the names, and I did swatch them a bit weirdly on my arm, as you will see, but the first shade is Honori, which is this nude shade over here. I use this shade in pretty much every single eyeshadow look for my brow bone highlight shade, and just as an all over base shade. It's perfect. It's not probably as pigmented as I would have liked. I'd say it could be a tiny bit more pigmented, a tiny bit more opaque, but it definitely does the job. I'd say 2 layers of this is perfect for having a totally blank canvas. The next one is Saffron. It's this beautiful yellow shade, and this shade is a little bit disappointing to me, honestly. I love yellow eyeshadow. In my life update video, you will see I had like a pop of yellow on. It wasn't from this shadow, it was a single shadow from Kiko, and that's the kind of yellow I like. I like a really bright yellow, and I don't mind even if you have to build it up, as long as I can get that bright finish. Now, this yellow is definitely more on the sort of mustard side. It's a bit more muted. It's not that pop of yellow that I really, really like. As you, again, would have seen if you see my other video with my other looks, it's not as bright and vibrant as I would have hoped, but it's decent. I mean, the colour payoff is decent. The next one is Burnt Gold. Absolutely love this shadow. If I could change one thing about it, I'd just make it a tiny bit more creamier, because I would say that although it's swatched really beautifully, and you'll see in the swatch it just kind of glides on, it does lack that same effect on the eyelids. Now, I've tried it with a brush and I've tried it with my fingers, and I have to say I prefer it with my fingers. Or a really, really tiny detailed brush that's dampened. It's a nice shadow. Maybe I'm just really used to like my metallic foiled finishes that I'm getting a bit spoilt by them. You can see I've used this wet because it's kind of changed the texture in the pan. It works well though, is what you need to know. And the next one is Earth, which is a really beautiful medium to dark brown shade. It's a metallic finish. It's not got any shimmer in it, it's just metallic-y. This is lovely. This is so nice paired with some of the warmer shades in the crease, and you can use this although it looks quite light in the pan, you can really use it to deepen up a look, and especially if you've got brown eyes or green eyes, it will just bring out the warmth in your eyes. So I do really enjoy the shade Earth. Then going on to our next row over here, we have the shade Apricot Nude. So this is like the transition shade in the palette, and I did use it most times for a transition. I would say that for my skin tone, it's a little bit light. I prefer something that's got a bit more warmth, a bit more oomph to it for a transition, and I kind of had to keep re-dipping my brush into the shadow, which obviously, because they're only 1 gram per palette, that means that it's going to run out very quickly, because I had to keep going back in there to kind of build up that transition. And then the next darker shade to that is a little bit too dark for my skin tone, so I would say that if you have got an Asian warm olive skin tone like I do, just be aware of that. You might really like it, but for me, I definitely prefer something with a bit more pigment in there. It's an okay shade. It will definitely work if you've got a fairer skin tone, but if you're medium to deep skin toned, it's not the best. The next shade is one of my favourites in the whole palette. This is called Bronzed Peach. It's such a unique shade. It's beautiful, it's peachy, it's golden, it's stunning. And you can see in the swatch, it's just a very different shade. I don't own anything like this in my whole palette collection or my whole single shadows collection. It's beautiful. It's got like that peach, deep peach undertone with like a gold reflex over the top. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. It's what you can see here on the sort of outer half of my lid. Absolutely love this, and I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of this shade in the future. It's also a really nice shade for, you know, if you're like Southeast Asian like myself and you're getting ready for a wedding and stuff, like a lot of the suits and stuff have this sort of thing going on with a bit of golden, bit of peachiness. So it's a really nice shade for that purpose. I love this. I think the colour pigment is fantastic. It works well with a brush or with your fingers as well, and that definitely gets a big thumbs up from me. The next shade we have is Nude Caramel, which is over here. This, like I said, is a nice shade. It's definitely a shade you can wear during the day or in the evening time. You can use this to sort of bridge a gap between a transition and a deeper shade, and it looks really beautiful paired with this, or paired with this, or even paired with just some mattes as well. It's a very, very versatile shade, and I do like it. I have to say, I kind of find it a little bit hard to blend. It's not the creamiest from all the mattes in this palette. So when I was applying it, sometimes it would kind of get stuck, and then I have to go in with another brush and really try and disperse the shade out. So I do like it. I don't think it's the best formula in the whole palette, but it's definitely a shade that I do reach for quite a lot, and I've used quite a lot in my looks. And then the final shade in this row is the shade Chocolate, which is the deepest brown shade here. It reminds me a bit of Makeup Geek's Mocha shade. It is quite a cool toned brown. It's got a little bit of warmth in it, but it's more cool toned. And this is a really, really nice shade for just adding into the lower lash line when you're really trying to smoke something out, or just write a tiny bit in the crease and then blending it out with this brown shade. You can create some really gorgeous smoky eyes with this. I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone and created like a deep chocolatey brown smoky eye as my 4th makeup look this week. And although it was a little bit hard for me to blend, it's just because I'm not used to blending dark shades. I'm not used to really trying to go for those chocolatey warm browns, you know, like I would just use a tiny bit usually and then blend it out and leave it there. But with that makeup look, I really went in and just kept packing it on and blending, and it looked quite intimidating for me, but it ended up looking beautiful. And then the final row, we have, first of all, the shade Moonstone, which is really gorgeous. Again, I have this on my eyelids today. It's sort of in the inner corner and in the inner half of my eyelids. It's a really beautiful silvery tone shadow. I love mixing Moonstone with the other shades actually. I think that's something that I tend to do a lot. Maybe because I was challenging myself to just use this one palette for the week. I found myself just dipping into Moonstone and going over shades and just adding that sort of sparkle and brightness to it. Yeah, I really do like that shade, and I think the pigmentation's nice. It's definitely more on the glittery shimmery side from all the shadows that aren't matte, but I don't mind that. I think it's beautiful, and it does make the perfect inner corner highlight. And if you're going to a wedding or a special occasion, it would look nice on your brow bone highlight as well. The next shade over here is this really beautiful matte orange shade. This is called Curcumin, I think, and I really like this. I do love a good orange. I love the fact that it suits my olive skin tone, it suits the brown eyes, and I did do a few looks that involve just applying this into the crease. This can also be used as a creased shade if you are of an olive skin tone or more of a medium skin tone. Mixed in with this definitely, and I do like the fact that the pigmentation is pretty good and it's a pretty true to life orange. You know, sometimes oranges can lean more yellow or lean more red, but I would say this is a really decent orange shade, which I don't own already in my collection, so I'm happy to now have it in there. Next shade over here is another matte shade. This is called Flame, and it's a lovely red colour. Sometimes red is really hard to do in an eyeshadow palette, and I say that this is a pretty good, like, true red shade. It's not too bright, it's not blue toned, slightly more on the warm side, but this is absolutely beautiful paired with these warm tones here, paired with these. To be honest, this shade would go with any of the shades in the palette. You can create a really beautiful sunset eyeshadow look, I'm sure, with the matte shades alone. I really like this red shade, and especially for the lower lash line. Red and the lower lash line looks beautiful. If you don't want to go for a really smoky look, go for a red, because it looks stunning. Just choose a really small brush and really disperse it and blend it out, but it looks amazing. And then the final shade here is called Mars. Now, I was reading Temptalia's review of this. As usual, her reviews are amazing, and she was really disappointed with this shade. She said it was dry, it was cakey, it was hard to use, but unfortunately I think she got a bad batch, because my shade of Mars is really beautiful. You see in the swatch that it applies beautifully. It maybe is a little bit more on the drier side, but I mean, it works pretty well for me. I'll just swatch it again here for you guys. I do find that it does work better with a damp brush for sure. You get much more richer pigment and colour payoff, but then that's the case with any of the metallic shadows. You kind of get a better payoff with any of them if you use a wet brush. Like I said though at the start of this video, I did find Mars a little bit hard to use like with the other shades, because yes, it does match definitely. It's still in the warm family, but I don't know, I feel like for me, I need a bit more of a matte similar colour to really make it work. That's probably due to my lack of experience or you know, expertise with the makeup. But overall, yeah, I am really happy with this. An 8 out of 10 is definitely not a bad score. It is small, but I don't think they try to rip you off at all in terms of the price. And if anything, they've stuck to their price guidelines. You know, like their more expensive ones are obviously bigger sized, but you know, you're paying for a smaller size and you're still getting pretty decent quality. Would I say that this is better than ABH? Tough question. I think that the Viseart palette, they are a bit less powdery. They still have some kickback, so I do still try and tap my brush off when I remember to, but I would say that they are a little bit more buttery and creamy than the palette version of ABH. The single shadows of ABH though, I think those are still better than these. Like I said, they're not all 100% consistent. I wouldn't say like this palette is way better than Soft Glam and you should go for this palette over Soft Glam. No, because I think the shades in Soft Glam are much more versatile. These are definitely for a warm toned, you know, palette lover. Soft Glam has a bunch of other shades as well, which means you can create different looks that aren't just warm toned. For this, I mean, there's not really a single shadow in here or shade in here that's cool tone at all. So I don't think it's the most versatile palette, but if you know that you love your warm shades, if you want to try Viseart, if you know that you're going to use warm shades, I definitely think you should pick it up. If you're somebody who owns a ton of these eyeshadow palettes already and you know that have the similar shades, and you know that yes, you do wear warm tones but you already own so many, or maybe you already have an idea of what the Viseart formula is like and you like it but it's not really like grabbing your attention, then don't buy it. I say save your money, wait for another release. I think all of us makeup lovers can get so carried away with these new releases, me included as well, but now I'm really trying to fill in the gaps in my collection rather than add more to my collection. So if I see a palette that's very different, or a palette that from a brand I really want to try but haven't had a chance to yet, then I'll pick it up, which was the case with this. Do I regret purchasing this? Absolutely not. I'm definitely going to be carrying on using it. It is a beautiful palette. You can see from my last video the range of versatile looks I did. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions about the palette, leave them down below. If you've tried the palette, then I'd love to know your thoughts down below. And if you are excited to see what's going to come up in this series, then definitely hit subscribe before you leave. And I'm sorry about the snoring, my husband's taking a midday nap. So that's that. I will see you in my next video. Take care, guys, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.